There is a simple household method that lets you clone almost any plant in your garden in as little as 7 days. No expensive rooting powders, no complicated greenhouse setup, no special gardening experience required, just one ingredient most people already have sitting in their kitchen right now. Gardeners have quietly passed this method down for generations, long before plant nurseries and garden centers ever existed. And today, science is finally confirming why it works so reliably, yet most people still spend money replacing plants they could have multiplied for free, season after season, without ever knowing a better way existed. By the end of this video, you will have a method you can test this week, on a plant you already own, using something already in your kitchen, no purchase required. Before garden stores became common, families didn't buy new plants every season. They multiplied what they already had. In early American homesteads, families passed cuttings of their best plants from one generation to the next. Herbs, fruit trees, flowering shrubs, all multiplied at home at no cost. The Amish, known for their deeply self-sufficient and sustainable way of life, still practice this today. A single healthy plant becomes dozens. A productive variety gets preserved and passed down across generations without ever visiting a nursery. In parts of Asia and rural Europe, early farmers used basic kitchen ingredients to help cuttings survive and take root faster. Different cultures, different climates, but the same productive discovery, repeated across hundreds of years. That is not coincidence. That is practical wisdom tested by time. Somewhere along the way, gardening became less about knowledge and more about shopping. Walk into any garden center today and you will find entire aisles of rooting powders, growth stimulants, and propagation kits, many priced between $15 and $40. And while some of those products work, most home gardeners don't realize they already have something just as effective sitting at home. The practical, self-sufficient knowledge that once made families truly independent quietly faded into the background. This video is about bringing it back. If you believe in simple, low-cost solutions that actually work, this channel was built for you. At Amish Homestead Roots, we focus on time-tested methods that help you grow more, spend less, and become genuinely self-sufficient at home. No fluff, no expensive products, just honest, useful information rooted in tradition and backed by real science. If that sounds like your kind of gardening, hit subscribe. And let's get into this. Picture a backyard garden in late summer. A beloved rosebush, one that has been in the family for years, is starting to look thin and tired. A neighbor suggests taking a few cuttings before the plant declines any further. No rooting powder on hand, no nursery nearby, no complicated tools in sight. Instead, a simple mixture is prepared from a single kitchen ingredient. Something sitting in the pantry that most households already have and rarely think twice about. The cutting is carefully selected from the healthiest part of the plant. The base is treated with that simple ingredient, then placed into a small pot of moist, well-draining soil and set in a warm corner near the window where soft light comes through each morning. By day 3, the cutting is still firm and green, a good sign. By day 5, something is happening at the base of the stem. Small, pale bumps are beginning to form. Not roots yet, but the start of them. Day 7 comes and goes. A gentle tug gives slight resistance, promising but not definitive. A few more days of patience. By day 10, there is no question. The cutting holds firm. It has rooted. It took a little longer than expected. It required daily attention and consistent moisture, but that cutting is now a living, established plant, healthy and growing on its own. No expense, no nursery run, just a method that has been quietly working for generations. Quick question before we go any further. Have you ever successfully cloned or propagated a plant at home? Or do you usually replace struggling plants by buying new ones? Drop your answer in the comments. I genuinely read every one, because what comes next explains exactly why some cuttings root and thrive, while others fail every single time. Now here's what's actually happening inside that cutting, and this is the part most people never find out. The moment you remove a stem from a parent plant, that cutting enters survival mode immediately. Its only biological priority becomes producing roots, because without roots it cannot absorb water or nutrients, and it will not survive. Root development in cuttings depends heavily on the condition of the cut end during those first critical days, the single most Common reason cuttings fail is not a lack of nutrients or poor soil, it is infection. The cut end of a stem is an open wound, and harmful fungi and bacteria colonize that wound quickly, causing rot before roots ever have a chance to form. This is exactly where raw honey becomes so valuable, and it works through three well-documented mechanisms. First, its natural antimicrobial properties come from two sources: an enzyme in honey that produces small amounts of hydrogen peroxide on contact with moisture, and its high sugar concentration, which draws water out of bacterial cells and prevents them from surviving. Both of these directly protect that open cut end from the organisms that cause rot. Second, honey creates a physical seal over the wound. It keeps the tissue from drying out too quickly, while still allowing the slow gas exchange the cutting needs to stay alive. Third, honey contains trace minerals and natural sugars that provide a mild energy source, relevant because a cutting with no root system has no other way to feed itself in those first critical days. It is not a rooting hormone. It does not instruct the plant to produce roots. What it does is remove the obstacles that normally prevent roots from forming: infection, dehydration, and cellular stress at the wound site. When those obstacles are removed, a healthy cutting from a healthy parent plant will often do the rest on its own. That is the real mechanism, and that is why this works. Research published in horticultural journals has consistently shown that cuttings treated with raw honey prior to planting demonstrate meaningfully improved rooting rates and lower failure rates compared to untreated cuttings. Researchers attribute this primarily to honey's antimicrobial properties and its ability to protect vulnerable cut tissue during the earliest and most fragile stage of propagation. The antimicrobial properties of raw honey have been extensively documented in both botanical and medical literature. Its hydrogen peroxide production, low moisture content, and high osmotic pressure create an environment that is genuinely hostile to the bacteria and fungi that destroy vulnerable plant tissue. These studies do not claim honey replaces commercial rooting compounds in every situation. What they confirm is that for home propagation, particularly when the goal is protecting healthy cuttings from rot and improving overall survival rate, raw honey performs well, costs nearly nothing, and is something most households already have. University extension programs across the United States, including programs at major land-grant agricultural universities, have published materials acknowledging that natural low-cost inputs can perform effectively in home propagation settings when applied correctly and in the right conditions. What traditional gardeners observed across generations, that honey helped cuttings survive and root faster, turns out to have a precise and verifiable scientific explanation. The documented properties of raw honey align almost exactly with what a freshly cut stem needs most in those critical first days. Generations of practical observation and peer-reviewed plant science are pointing in the same direction. That is worth paying attention to. But here's where most people get it wrong, and it is not what you would expect. There are 4 critical mistakes that cause most people to fail with this method, and then incorrectly conclude that it does not work. The first mistake is using too much honey. This is by far the most common error. People assume that more honey means more protection and faster results. The opposite is true. Applying too thick a coating can seal the cut end so completely that it prevents the natural gas exchange the cutting needs to stay alive. It can also attract pests and create an overly wet environment that promotes rot instead of preventing it. A thin, even coat over the bottom inch of the stem is all you need, nothing more. The second mistake is using the wrong type of cutting. Soft new growth cuttings, semi-hardwood cuttings, and fully hardwood cuttings behave very differently during propagation. Soft green cuttings root quickly but rot easily. This method is especially effective here. Semi-hardwood cuttings from mid-season growth are the most reliable overall. Fully hardwood cuttings from dormant plants require a different approach entirely and respond less predictably to honey treatment. Matching your technique to your cutting type is essential, and skipping this step is why so many people blame the method when the issue was the cutting. The third mistake is taking cuttings from a stressed or unhealthy parent plant. Many people try to save a declining plant by taking cuttings from it, but a stressed parent produces weak cuttings with compromised cell health and reduced vigor. Always take your cuttings from the most actively growing, visibly healthy, portion of the best plant available to you. The quality of the parent determines the outcome before you ever apply the honey. The fourth mistake is inconsistent moisture after planting. Honey protects the cut end, but if the surrounding soil dries out completely during those first critical days, the cutting will fail regardless of what you applied. Consistent, moderate moisture, not waterlogged, not bone dry, is non-negotiable. Check the soil every single day during the first week. This is not optional. Avoid these 4 mistakes and your success rate will improve dramatically, not occasionally, consistently. Now I want to be straight with you about what this does and what it does not. This method will not save a cutting taken from a completely dead or severely diseased parent plant. If the tissue is already compromised at the source, nothing applied to the cut end will change that outcome. It will not work if the cutting is placed in the wrong environment. Rooting requires the right balance of indirect light, consistent warmth, and steady moisture. A cutting placed in full direct sunlight, in cold conditions, or in waterlogged soil will fail regardless of what you applied. It is not an overnight solution. Roots take days to form, not hours. Fast-rooting plants like basil, pothos, coleus, and most soft-stemmed herbs will often show roots within 7 days. Woody-stemmed plants like roses, lavender, and figs typically take 10 to 14 days. That longer timeline does not mean failure. It means the plant is working at its own pace. Patience is part of the process, and expecting too much too soon is a mistake, and raw honey specifically must be raw and unprocessed. Commercial pasteurized honey found in most grocery stores has been heat-treated in a way that destroys many of the natural compounds that make it effective for this purpose. Look for the word raw on the label. If it is not there, the results will not be the same. But for a healthy cutting, taken correctly from a productive and vigorous plant, planted in the right conditions, this method delivers a meaningfully higher rooting success rate than doing nothing at all. Used properly, it works. That is the honest truth. Practical steps. Alright, here is the part you actually came for. Here is exactly how to do this, from start to finish, step by step. What you need is simple: a healthy parent plant, a clean, sharp blade, or pruning shears, a small pot filled with moist, well-draining potting mix, a small dish or cup, and 1 jar of raw honey. That is the complete list. Choosing your cutting. Select a stem that is healthy, firm, and actively growing. Look for a stem with at least 2 to 3 leaf nodes, the small joints along the stem where leaves attach. Your cutting should be 4 to 6 inches long. Avoid stems that are flowering or producing seed heads, as the plant's energy is already directed away from root development. The ideal cutting comes from new growth that has had a few weeks to firm up, not the very softest tip growth, but not fully woody either. That middle zone is your target. Making the cut. Using a clean, sharp blade, cut just below a leaf node at a 45-degree angle. The angled cut matters. It increases the surface area at the base of the cutting, which gives more surface area for root formation. Immediately after cutting, remove the lower leaves, leaving only the top 2 or 3. Leaves below the soil line will rot. Too many leaves above the soil line create more moisture demand than a rootless cutting can support. Keep it simple and clean. Applying the honey. Before you begin, scoop a small amount of raw honey into a separate dish or cup. Do not dip your cutting directly into the main jar, or moisture and plant material from the stem will contaminate the honey over repeated use. From your separate dish, dip the cut end and coat the bottom inch of the stem with a thin, even layer. If your honey has crystallized, that is perfectly fine. Crystallized raw honey is actually easier to apply evenly and is just as effective. Allow any excess to drip off before you plant. Planting the cutting, use a pencil or thin stick to make a small pilot hole in your prepared potting mix before inserting the cutting. This step is important. Pushing the cutting directly into the soil without a pilot hole can scrape the honey coating off entirely, which defeats the purpose. Insert the cutting into the hole up to the first remaining leaf node and gently press the soil around the base to hold it in place. Do not pack it down tightly, creating the right environment. Place the pot in a location with bright, indirect light. Near a window is ideal, but away from direct sunlight, which will dry the cutting out far too quickly. To boost humidity, loosely cover the pot with a clear plastic bag or an inverted clear plastic bottle with the bottom removed. This creates a mini greenhouse. effect that significantly improves rooting success by keeping moisture levels stable around the cutting. Leave a small opening for minimal airflow to prevent mold from building up inside. Daily care. Check the soil moisture every day. It should feel consistently damp, like a wrung-out sponge, never soaking wet. If condensation builds up heavily on the inside of the plastic cover, remove it for an hour to allow fresh airflow, then replace it. Do not fertilize the cutting at this stage. Without roots, it cannot absorb nutrients properly, and adding fertilizer now can burn the tissue and increase failure rates. Testing for roots. After 5 to 7 days, gently grip the base of the cutting between 2 fingers and apply a very light upward tug. If it slides out freely with no resistance, roots have not yet established. Replace the cover and wait another 3 to 4 days before testing again. If you feel even slight resistance, roots are forming and anchoring into the soil. Continue gradually removing the cover for longer periods each day over the following week to slowly acclimate the new plant to normal air. Within 14 days of confirmed rooting, your cutting can be treated as an established plant. A word on timing: 7 days is a realistic target for fast-rooting plants. Woody-stemmed plants like roses, lavender, and figs often take 10 to 14 days. That is completely normal and does not mean the method has failed. Give it the time it actually needs and you will be rewarded. And here is what I want you to sit with for a moment. Every healthy plant you already own is a living investment, a renewable resource that can multiply itself indefinitely with nothing more than a clean blade and a jar of honey. 1 rosebush becomes 10. 1 herb plant fills an entire raised bed. A single productive variety gets preserved and passed on for seasons to come. The same way families once passed down their best plants from one generation to the next. This is the kind of self-sufficient, sustainable knowledge that made previous generations genuinely independent. They did not need to spend more every spring to grow more. They understood their plants well enough to multiply what already worked. That knowledge still works just as well today. Your garden does not have to cost more every season. With the right method, applied the right way, it can grow more, for free. Try this on 1 plant this week, just 1. Pick a healthy cutting from something already growing in your garden. Apply raw honey the right way, plant it correctly, and watch what happens over the next 7 to 14 days. Then come back and tell me in the comments what you tried and what you saw. I read every comment, and your results genuinely help other gardeners in this community learn what works and what needs adjusting. Because once you understand how to clone your own plants, you stop spending money at the nursery every season, and you start building a truly productive, sustainable garden that grows and renews itself. If you want more simple, practical methods like this one, methods that save money, grow more food, and keep your garden healthy year after year, subscribe to Amish Homestead Roots. This is exactly what this channel is built around. There is a lot more coming, and the next one may be even more useful than this.